Hello, my name is David Klecker. I am the creator of AutoHARP3. What I'm going to do with this tutorial is I'm going to show you how to create a new character, just kind of go through all of the steps and show you what you can do to create characters for Harp Sci Fi. By clicking on the New Character button on the splash screen, you will be brought to this screen that shows you that you have 8 steps of which to create a character sheet. Over here are all of the books that you have installed. As you can see, I only have one book installed. If you install Sci-Fi Extreme, that will also show up here as well. As far as I know, there are only the 2 books available for Harp Sci Fi, so if there are others, I need somebody to let me know that. You can't, I know that there's a button here that says Using Book, but you can't click on this and have it do anything, and the reason is that I need at least one main book to be a part of this database. And if you were to say, well, I'm not going to use the Harp Sci Fi database, well, then the question becomes, what database are you going to use? We have to use at least one main database, and so that Harp Sci Fi main book that you see there, that's the main database, and so therefore we have to at least use that one. When Harp Sci Fi Extreme is installed, you actually can elect to not use it, and that will basically just allow you to create character sheets without using the rules that are included with Sci-Fi Extreme, such as creating virtual characters and whatnot. So for a new character, well, I'm just starting to read the Expand series, so why don't we just create Bobby, but let's take a few liberties with her. We'll say female. The statistics configuration option, there are 3 options. There is just select random generation, allocation of 550, and then you allocate 500, and then the computer will roll a 10d10 random roll for development points. This is also something that can be set in the preferences, so that if you set this in the preferences, that selection will show up here, so that you don't have to select it manually each and every time. But for now, I have it set to allocate 550. That's probably the default for most players, and so I'm going to leave it like that. Technology has early, mature, and advanced. Most of the stuff that deals with technology is going to be your weapons. So for example, how much ammunition is carried, and for your armor, based on what the maneuvers are going to be for each of the armor based on technology. It does make a difference to decide on which technology you would like to use for your game. But for this case, I'm going to choose mature. That's the one I usually choose in general. It's right between early. It's right in there as a default for me. So I usually just end up choosing that. But depending on what you have for your game, like I'm using the Expanse, do I consider that to be early technology, mature technology, advanced technology? I'm not really quite too sure if I could define it properly or not, so I'm just going to say mature as a default. My default rulebook is Harp Sci Fi. It's the only rulebook that I have, so obviously that's the rulebook that I'm going to be using. So now I have a step here to select a race. If you clicked on any of these boxes here, for example, if I were to click on Magi, it will bring me up a window here. It'll give me a picture of the race, all of the information, preliminary information about this race, description, appearance, lifespan, and culture. I get all of the special abilities, and I get the race stat bonuses. Now, if I select this as primary, a badge will show up that says that I have selected the Magi as primary. And if I select another race, such as Krakor, I now have the ability to select this as a greater blood, or to select this as a lesser blood. So if I select this as a greater blood, it will say that this race has been selected as greater blood, and the Magi is the one that's selected as primary. Now I want to actually have this be a human race, so I'm just going to go ahead and select the human race, bring that up in my window here. And you can see that it has asterisks for bonuses. This is because we're going to have to manually put these bonuses in. I'm going to go ahead and select this primary, and you'll see that the information for Krakor and Magi have disappeared, and now my human race is now the primary race selected. Okay, let's go ahead and select next screen. Let's go to selecting talents. Now, in other races where there's only 3 talents, those talents are going to automatically be selected. But in the case of the human, I have 4 talents from which to choose from, so I don't know which ones you're going to choose, so I have opted for you to make that selection instead. With the races that only have 3, you're going to be selecting all 3, so I actually will have all 3 of those talents selected for you, so you can just move on to the next step for profession. You don't have to worry about manually selecting all 3 of those. Since there's only 3 to select, I might as well just select them for you. But in this case, there's 4, so you have to pick the 3 that you want. So I'm going to pick bonus ranks, skill specialization, and then skill flexibility. If you want to get more information about these talents, you can go ahead and click on this eye icon here, and it will give you a description of the talent. So you can basically just kind of get an idea of, do I want to use this talent? Do I think this talent is going to be good for me? And if so, then I'm going to go ahead and select it. Okay, so moving on to the next screen, we decide on what profession I want. Given that this profession, I kind of know what I want for this particular character. I know that this character should be a soldier, so I'm going to go ahead and select that one. And here I get all of its favorite categories for the profession. I get a description, and I get any abilities, and I have to select one of these abilities. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to select martial arts training for this one. And if you want, you can always mouse over on this eye icon. Same idea as before. It gives me a description of that talent. So now I'm going to look at the key stats that are here and any profession abilities. There appears to be 2 profession abilities that exist here, and those are going to show up on my main character sheet when I get to that point. When I select profession, I get a badge that says that this particular profession is the one that is picked. If I pick another one, it'll just simply take this one out and it will move it to the new one. In actuality, what I think I'm going to do, instead of picking soldier, as I said, I want to take a few liberties with this character sheet. I'm going to actually pick fusion. And it's a good idea for me to show fusion to you, because fusion does have one small little detail that we need to look at. It's the fact that with fusion, I need to pick an additional profession that goes with it. Fusion is a kind of profession, but it combines the paranormal, as it says, training, with the skills of another specialty. So I'm going to take, for my profession, the soldier profession, so I'm going to have like a fusion soldier hybrid. I want to do this because I want to be able to show you how the psi abilities work as well. I'm going to go ahead and select latent sonic field, select that as profession, and as you can see, the badge moved from soldier up to fusion, but it changed up a little bit. It says that I picked this profession, but I've also picked soldier as the fusion profession that I want to kind of meld with it. Okay, so let's go to next screen. These are my statistic values that I would like to start with on my character sheet. These asterisks means that these are my key stats. So I'm going to go ahead and change each one of these key stats to say 90. And for self-discipline, reasoning, insight, and presence, I'm going to go ahead and set these to 46. It says I've got 544 out of 50, so I need to allocate 6 more. So I'm just going to go ahead and allocate those 6 to presence. Actually, I'm going to allocate those to self-discipline, because I do think that the character that I'm trying to create is definitely more on the self-discipline side of things than it is on the presence side of things. Maybe. I guess that's all up to interpretation. Let's go ahead and click on next screen. Actually, I haven't finished one thing. I did select a human, which means I need to put in these racial bonuses. So let's go ahead and add at least 1 to each of the key stats. Let's add 1 to self-discipline, and let's add 1 to, let's just add 1 to all of them. I have this feeling that that's not a bad idea. That gives me 8 that have been selected, so I need 2 more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1 in quickness, and I'm going to put 1 in insight. So let's go ahead and click on next screen. So now the next one is culture. And so when I click on one of these, it'll bring up a window to describe the culture for me. I'm going to select militaristic. Gives me the description, preferred locations, clothing, decoration, demeanor. Also gives me all of the adolescent ranks. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one as primary, and it will say that it has been picked. So let's go to the next screen. Now this screen here is where I add in ranks, my profession ranks for the character. To do that, I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. So I'm going to click on this physical category here, and it says I have 4 to add here. I have 4 ranks to add here. So I'm going to select armor, and I'm going to add in 2 ranks. I'm going to do that by clicking on this plus button twice. As you can see, I have now a number 2 listed here. Those are the number of ranks, profession ranks, that I have added to this skill. This number here is the number of total ranks that have been added to this skill. It comes in, that number actually is easier to understand when we go to adolescent ranks. If I don't like the fact that I put 2 ranks in here and I want to get rid of one, I can always click on this red icon here, that red minus sign, and it will remove a rank. I do want to put in 2 ranks for armor, 2 ranks for endurance, and when it says 0 here, that means that you are done. You won't be able to add any more ranks. For general, I think appraisal, computer operations, first aid, perception. Let's put one under signaling, sensors, and countermeasures. Now, what have I just done here? There are these plus signs that are all over the place. This plus icon just basically means that there are subskills that are a part of this regular skill. So if I click on this plus button, it will expand this skill and it will show me all of the subskills that are available for it. So by selecting signaling, it will expand and show me all of the subskills for signaling. Same thing for vocation. I click on the plus sign, it will expand and show me all of the subskills for vocation. I would like to do soldiering as 1 rank as well. Concentration, let me put a rank in psi energy development. Let me go ahead and put in a few ranks for psychokinesis. And I think I'm going to put 1 rank in for mental focus. For combat, I'm going to put in a few ranks for two-handed energy. Let's put 1 in for martial arts strikes. And let's go ahead and put 1 in for combat driving and piloting. For athletics, let's go ahead and put in a rank to acrobatics and climbing. And I should have 0 ranks for every single one of my categories here, for all of my favorite categories for my profession. When that happens, I should be able to go to my next screen, and that's going to be for my adolescent ranks. Now, many of these adolescent ranks have been automatically added. These are the ones that require a manual choice. So I need to add ranks to vehicular driving. And so I'm going to go ahead and select ground effect and put a rank in there. There's one for outdoors. I'm going to select tracking and put a rank in for that. And here for combat, I can actually show you that this column here, I have a rank. I have 1 rank listed here. That's because I placed that rank in there with profession rank. So this 1 rank refers to the profession rank that I added. And if I go ahead and I add in another rank, that's going to say that I've added 1 adolescent rank to martial arts strikes. But I now have 2 ranks in that particular skill. I think what I'm going to do for my combat is I'm going to add in a rank for energy. I'm going to add in that rank for strikes. I'm okay with that. And then I'm going to add in 1 for brawling. And then that should do it. Let's go ahead and click on next screen. Now it's going to do all of the calculations for height, weight, bringing in all of the calculations for my skills, for my weapons, anything for my statistics, so that I have now the character sheet that you see in front of you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this character. I'm going to save this character as Bobby, AHP. I'm going to click on save. You can save this anywhere you want. And now that I've done that, it'll give me a toast button up here, a toast label up there, saying that it has been successfully added. And that's how you create new character sheets in Harp Sci Fi. Thank you for purchasing AutoHARP3, Harp Sci Fi, and happy gaming.